Right, today, as Wayne will have told you, is the last time we're having a formal lecture in here. For a variety of reasons. Partly I'm at a conference next week, partly because I think you guys are busy working on all sorts of other stuff. So most of the faculty of the school Department of Computing and Maths is down at a conference in London most of next week anyway. So we thought we'd give you a little time to work in the labs to practice the computer-based tests that are available for you, so that you can actually get ready for that CBT test, which will be happening during exam week in January. And you know, we've noticed over the last couple of years that people who have actually attempted the tests, the little sort of practice tests that Wayne has posted for you, do an awful lot better. So between now and I think it's probably Friday the 9th, but check in the timetable section to see when your exam is, down in B2, then you will do an awful lot better and get lots of extra points that you probably won't get if you don't practice those little tests between now and over Christmas. So I really would ask you to make sure you do practice those tests, because you guys will then get lots better results. Probably worth another 20 or 30 points on your overall grade for the module, so it's worthwhile doing, folks. Now, this week, I want to talk to you a little bit about something that I've called skills frameworks. There are a whole range of different frameworks which we have available to us, which we use as part of our activity in ensuring you have the right sort of topics available to you in terms of the modules that you are studying for each of your degree programs. And I want to take you through a few of them so that you can go off, follow the links in the slides to the different frameworks and see how they help you to understand A, what it is you're studying, how you can link that to your future careers, how you can use some of these frameworks to help you actually think a little bit about your own self. Think about which of the skills that different careers are asking for, so you can say, yeah, I love these set, I'm going to really work hard on them, and then I'll be able to use them as a computer networks expert, or a forensics expert, or an IT data analytics type expert, or whichever ones you're interested in. So like the various approaches I've given you week by week, some of the purpose of the skills we're going to look at today, very briefly, are to help you to understand yourself and your interests and the direction you want to go. And sometimes you'll say, look at some of the skills for a particular career and say, oh, no, I really don't like that set. Maybe I need to think about changing programs and direction away perhaps from, I don't know, networks to analytics, or from IT analytics to networks or computer science or forensics or whatever. They're to help you to understand yourself. So you can choose an area which is going to be really interesting to you. Yes, it might well have a great salary, but salary is not necessarily everything. Being able to enjoy your topic area, your subject area, your job, can become much, much more important than really just getting the maximum amount of salary in the future. And ultimately, you will be a happier person if you've chosen the right career that's going to be interesting to you, that plays to your strengths. So, let's have a little look at some of them. We're going to concentrate particularly on the SFIA framework, but there are others that I'm going to show you as well. You'll see the link here to the SFIA framework. You can go there, you can register and download all of the resources for the Sofia Plus version 5 framework, which will help you to understand some of these issues. And I'll tell you a few other things as we go through them. Now these frameworks are typically used by the industry for several purposes, like recruitment. They will actually, in their job specification, their job advert, say you need to have X, Y, and Z relating to the Sofia framework, and we would like it at such and such a level, more of which in a little while. They also expect you to use it for your continuous professional development. They will use it at the end of every year as a way of providing you with a clear framework against which they will assess your performance year by year to show you how good you are and where you can improve, where you can develop your skills. We use them in terms of developing the course curricula, i.e. the content of what we're teaching you, and we've used quite a few of these areas to help identify the things you need to know in my stream of lectures on the skills of being a good student, being a good employee. This is where we have found them. This is where we're reflecting back to you that these are the things you need to do because industry is wanting these skills from you when they try to employ you. So we've got Sofia here. We've also got the eSkills UK, or as it's now called, Tech Partnerships, their national occupational standards. And they've published a whole range already in terms of data analytics, data management, data science, IT and telecoms professionals, and IT users. And you'll see the link in the small print there. You can go there and find all about it. That will help you to understand, again, what each of those different careers is all about. And then the UK Higher Education Academy also provides a whole set of frameworks, and that link takes you to a document of about 50 to 100 pages, which again, we have used in developing the curriculum for each of your programs. So we're using 3 or 4 different sources to try and give you a really up-to-date, really modern program of activity, things that you can learn and then be able to become really great employees. That you'll be able to become in the top list of people that they want to interview. Because you will be able to use these frameworks to identify what your skills are and, with evidence, what level you have achieved. Some of you in the SCIT and forensics as well will be doing a couple of modules with me in your final year where you will be able to, with evidence, identify a level 6 or even a level 7 ability because you're going to write some extremely great articles setting strategy. And that's one of the level 6, level 7 capabilities that come from Sofia. So the idea is you've got these frameworks that tell you what we're trying to get you to learn, that you will be able to identify what you're learning and connect what you're learning to what the world out there really wants you to come to them with. In terms of, I'm a great potential employee because I've got this, this and this skill at this and this level, and nobody else has got it. That means you will be in the to-interview list of interviewees or job applicants. So we're trying to help you to identify what you like, what you're good at, how good you are, and to then connect that to the evidence that shows that you have achieved that level. And there's another interesting link here for those who are interested in the field of big data and analytics, the topic I covered a couple of weeks ago in Subjects for Computer Science. And this was a survey carried out by one of our partner companies, SAS, who are one of the least known but provides one of the most used at big data analytics packages there is. Those of you doing the BSCIT will be touching on it next term in one of your modules. We'll be introducing it to you, and you'll see how painless it is to be able to get interesting answers to interesting questions from large quantities of data. And this survey shows the type of capabilities, the type of personality profiles for a range of different job roles within the field of big data analytics. Some of which are applicable to computer scientists, because we need computer scientists, those guys who can really cope with heavy-duty programming, to sort out the beginnings of the data, to get it from wherever it comes into the analysis environment. So it's not just for the SCIT students who will go into big data analytics, it's also going to be some of the computer scientists. We'll need people in the networks and security side, because security of big data is critical. We need some of the forensics people involved in big data analytics, because some of the most important work that is undertaken in analytics is investigations. Finding out who's done what, where, when. Understanding where people are. Location. All sorts of things like that. So big data analytics and this survey will identify to almost everybody here that there are some interesting and extremely challenging jobs relevant to each of you in the field of big data. And this will tell you the sort of characteristics and attributes that actually are there, that you need to develop. So, first of all, Sofia, because this is the one I want to concentrate on most because it's applicable to everybody. And it's easy to get at, and it's very, very easy for you to then use it for the rest of your life to do some of those things I've just talked about. Identifying what you're really interested in, identifying the things that you're not interested in, and therefore helping you to cut out and avoid going in the direction of jobs where you won't be happy or you won't be good at doing the job. It'll help you provide the connection day by day, week by week, month by month between the stuff you are learning and what you're going to need to be a great employee in the future. It'll get you used to using that so that this time next year when you apply for your jobs, for your placement job, you will have a whole set of examples of, I've got this skill at this level, and here's the evidence. I did this in the team project, or I got this from this particular part of this module. Here's an example. And you can build a portfolio that demonstrates just how great you guys really are. That you're not operating at the bottom level of the skill of responsibility, but you're operating near the middle or even higher. It'll make applying for those placement jobs so much easier. Follow these links, guys. I don't often use Wikipedia as a citation, but here I am using it because it's a really great link into Wikipedia that tells you almost everything you want to know, and maybe things you didn't want to know, about the Sofia Framework. It's really great at explaining it for you. Now, Sofia works in a sort of matrix. Across the top are the 7 levels of responsibility. And they start off at the bottom level. I follow instructions, and I need brackets. I need to be supervised all day long. I can't really operate with any sort of degree of initiative. Level 2 is a little bit more. I can assist people. Level 3 is I understand what I'm doing in this particular item of skill. And I can use it. I can apply it. I can help other people, I can enable other people, I can enable the organization, I can enable my team. Level 5 is getting along to, I can make sure other people are really doing it. And I can actually provide advice where people come to me and say, I'm not quite sure I understand what I'm supposed to be doing. Level 5, I can actually start advising people and helping them to develop so that they can catch up and become more and more effective. Level 6 is the initiate and influence. This is where you're beginning to get very near the top end of the professional scale. can develop strategy. I can develop all of the policies and procedures. And then at level 7, setting a strategy rather than just helping to develop it. I can set it, I can inspire people around me. And I can mobilize resources and get things moving. Now, it may surprise you, but many of you, by the time you have finished here, will be well up into level 6 and level 7 levels of responsibility in some areas. Whether it's in your teams, whether it's in the way that you are whether you're applying a lot of critical analysis, critical evaluation, applying all sorts of knowledge in context of a particular problem to develop strategies, to guide the team. You will, I guarantee it, most of you, if you think about what you are doing over the next 3 or 4 years, you will find evidence for some of those skills in the Sofia Framework where you are operating at level 6 or level 7. Now, this makes your job application so much more interesting to future employers. Particularly where you can identify this demonstrates, this piece of work, this activity, this presentation is where I demonstrate that level of responsibility and capability. It will make you stand out dramatically from all those other applicants who are trying to get that job you're chasing. Sofia at the moment looks at the different skill sets in terms of those 6 areas. Strategy and architecture, business change, solution development and implementation, service management, procurement and management support, and client interface. Now, obviously you're not going to get from the programs we've got here very much in those last 2 categories, but the first 4 categories, most of you are going to be doing things, you're going to be learning things, your modules are going to cover many of the sub-skills within those 4 top items. So concentrate on those ones. The next 6 slides take you through the official wording for the levels of responsibility. So I'm not going to read them out to you. You can read them just as easily as I can. But the level 1 is pretty basic, isn't it? I guess most of you can just about cope with that without any difficulty. And you should all be capable of operating at level 2, this one. The one bit that I would point out here that is important, and we do have problems with a lot of people, not just you guys, but around the industry, of proactively managing personal development. It's considered very, very important that every individual takes control to some extent of their career. Now, it's not obvious, even with my sort of 40 years hindsight, that I could have planned my career very thoroughly. But at each stage I had an idea where the next job might be. When I was your age, I knew I was going to go into Rolls-Royce Aerospace, probably become, I don't know, maybe a metallurgist or maybe a systems analyst. I didn't really know at that stage. But I would never, ever have predicted that by the end of my career nearly, I would be a senior lecturer and heavily involved in an international activity to develop skills frameworks and teaching approaches for big data analytics. Well, we hadn't even got big data then. But even during my 30-odd years at Rolls-Royce, I could not have planned more than 4 or 5 years ahead. But it's still important to have an idea about where you think you are going. Your employers will be able to help you along the next step. And so using these sort of approaches, I'm only at this number level 2, or I'm at level 3, and I would like to get to level 4, level 5, level 6 across this range of skills, which means I need to go on this and this and this training course, is kind of helping you to help yourself and get your employer to do the same for you, to facilitate your skills development. And so these are really, really useful in terms of helping you to do that. Now, many of you are going to be operating at least level 3 in your placement year. Some of you may even be able to work at level 4. And I know that some of our current placement year students and previous placement year students have worked at least at this level with accounts, working on a broad range of very complex activities, managing their own work packages and so on. So it's kind of nice if you can demonstrate by this time next year 1 or 2 skill levels where you can definitely claim a level 3 or a level 4 level of responsibility based on the work you are doing today, next month, next term, and then during the autumn term next year. And remember, many of the job applications will refer to the Sofia Framework, identifying the skills they want you to have and ideally a level of responsibility. So use this to actually provide that evidence. When you get to your final year and do your dissertation project, pretty much you're going to be working in the field of objective setting. You will have challenging and unpredictable work, because that's the nature of your project, inevitably. Some of the assignments in the final year are going to be very much at creating proposals, justifying your analysis, justifying your governance proposal as a proposed strategy for maybe SMEs in a particular field, both in terms of first year modules and more particularly in final semester modules. You will be doing stuff at that level. It will be highly complex. You're applying all sorts of different knowledge to come up with a really interesting proposed strategy, which will be published electronically and be available to SMEs and other people out there to look at how do I cope with the challenges, maybe of uncertain location services, in terms of developing strategies or governance strategies to use those uncertain location services. To use this weird stuff that's pouring out of the social networks to try and get value for the organisation. These are sort of tasks that you guys are going to get set. And in some of the other modules, in other programs, you'll get very similar sort of challenges, which we'll be working at level 5, level 6, and maybe even, if you're very lucky, level 7. If you can get in some of those assignments a mark of around about the 95% level, then you're probably operating at this level. You will be operating at master's level, essentially. Excellent for your CV. Excellent for your job applications. Within each of the 4 major topic areas, there are subsections, and it's kind of a grid with several levels. Information strategy, business and IT strategy and planning, technical strategy and planning. And so you can see how each of the programs will be able to address part of those requirements. In team project, which you'll be doing in the second year, I think it is, you will be looking at changing the way businesses work. you will be asked by different businesses to come and help by producing a system or something for us. And to get that effectively implemented, you will need to think about some of these issues to do with business change. Implementing change, managing change, and perhaps, but maybe not so much, relationship management between people, between organizations. You will all be covering these topics in one way or another. The SCIT, for absolute certainty, in your first semester, your second year, will be covering pretty much all of those aspects to one level or another. You'll be thinking about IT, technology, as a way of providing a service to a particular group of stakeholders. And all the rest of you in the other programs will be having to think about this in one way or another. Because all of the technology we create in the field of computer science and ICT is all about using or creating and then using computer-based technology for a particular purpose. None of the stuff that you guys are going to create, even the hardest core programmers, doesn't have a human in the loop at some stage, or is providing a service to humans, whether it's computer security, whether it's to do with encryption algorithms, whether it's games programming, CGP, whether it's forensics investigations, network security. It's all to do with delivering things to human beings that make our life, at least in theory, more successful, easier to do, less stressful. Again, that's a theory. Though some of you, when you're out there in your placement year, will end up doing some of these 4 items for procurement and management support. Some of you on help desks, on the service support desks, will be doing some of these things as well. That's interesting. I uploaded a new version of that on Friday and it's not there. Bother. Sorry. So, those are the sort of things you can do with Sofia. You can do similar things with the Tech Partnerships National Occupational Skills. You can do the same thing with the report from SAS. They will give you lots of ideas about the things that you, A, need to do, and B, will help you to identify the things that you really like or that you're not so keen on. Once you've identified that, go plan your career. You can use it, by the way, also, if you're using Sofia or the National Occupational Standard, to plan, this is where I am, do a self-audit. This is where I am, and I want to get to level 4, level 5. It will help you then to plan out what you're going to have to work hard on over the next 2-3 years. Who do I go to for support? Which of the lecturers around me that I know of can help me develop this or that skill? Use this to plan your next 2.5, 3.5 years, folks. And I'm sure that if you do that, you really will become much better, much higher level of employability. You will be much more successful than most graduates from other universities who don't use this approach to developing and managing your skills. Okay, folks, thanks very much. All the best. I hope you do well in your test in January and come and get zapped.